Welcome back to the Grove. This is episode 5. We're in the depths of winter here in Hawea and we've broken ground for the build. Seen some real quick progress here thanks to Urquhart Construction. We've scraped the site, we've dug the foundations, and we've put up a barn. All these big mounds of dirt you see are from the site scrape. We're going to keep this on site and use it later for landscaping. Alright, let's talk about concrete and steel. Modern day civilization's built on this stuff, right? From pavements to shopping centers and airports. Concrete and steel are absolutely necessary to provide strength to almost all structures, especially in earthquake-prone countries like NZ. So concrete and steel are responsible for around 10% of global carbon emissions. Around the world, both industries are getting better, but it does depend on the electrical grid that supplies them. Here in South Island, New Zealand, we're around 98% hydro, which is generally considered to be clean energy. So most New Zealand homes are built out of timber primarily, which is good because, as we know, trees absorb CO2. You do see a lot of external buildings and garages and sheds and barns built out of steel though. So we chose to avoid this by building a farm-style pole barn, which has a timber structure to it. It's also pretty cost-effective too. So what I didn't think about was the amount of concrete going into the footings for each pole. They're big holes. Allied Concrete showed us their crushed glass compound, which replaces some of the sand used in the concrete mix with downcycled glass. Now this doesn't reduce the carbon emissions from the process of actually creating cement, which is used in the concrete, but it does help to divert glass from going to landfill. So this crushed up glass in particular comes up from Invercargill and is made from downcycling bottles, jars and window glass. That's an example of a linear downcycling system. Locally here in the Queenstown Lakes area, all our bottles and jars get sent up to Auckland and they're recycled back into bottles and jars. That's an example of a circular recycling system. So interestingly, it takes less energy to recycle bottles and jars than it takes to create new ones from scratch. Negative is it can't be done with window glass just yet. So both of those systems have their benefits, but it's great to see companies like Allied Concrete actively trying to incorporate downcycled materials into their own product. So we've also made the conscious decision to try and measure our embodied carbon for this project. This involves calculating the amount of greenhouse gases emitted into the atmosphere through the manufacturing and transporting of all our materials. With the use of hempcrete in our wall structure, our goal is to be carbon negative by the end of this build.